Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto news update, and this time for Boruto, and this is going to be coming to us once again from the official Naruto website, where we have finally gotten some concrete, hard information regarding Kawaki's Dojutsu, the same one that belonged to Jigen, a vessel of Isshiki, and Isshiki himself, and it confirms some of the speculation in the community that it's had for the last 4 years regarding the eye itself, and we also have a quoted name for the Dojutsu that has gone overlooked. Like usual, I'm not going to be calling this a spoiler since it is information that Shueisha does want us to know, but I gotta throw that out there because likely I'm going to be using the alert emojis that you see in the title whenever I have spoilers, or in this case I have breaking news. Real quick, dropping the reminder that the 2.5-hour Boruto video is dropping this weekend, so mark the calendars, grab your pizza, grab your drinks, get comfortable on the couch, watch this one on your television. If you watch YouTube on TV, this is an in-depth Boruto video that unravels a lot of information that you'll be able to clip out multiple segments to push back against some of the agenda pushers who purposely misrepresent Boruto's story, or people who don't understand certain things like the scaling, or in some cases the arcs of the character, including character arcs for OG Naruto characters that you see in the Boruto series that don't get talked about enough. There is a lot there. I can keep going. It's literally 2.5 hours. I put my heart into this whole 66-page script and I stand on it. The second half of the video is one of the best and most honest videos I've ever scripted here on the channel, so I cannot wait to see you guys' response to the passion project by myself and one of my favorite editors, Isaiah. So once again, over on the official Naruto website, the trend of continuing to publish jutsu information and lore and character information over on the official website instead of releasing a proper data book or expanding the databases in the physical manga volumes is continuing, which makes sense. If the manga volumes get longer, then you got to charge more per volume, and I'm not really mad at it, even though I would personally prefer a physical data book like we get with the 4 for Naruto and the other 5 supplemental guides that Naruto's manga has. However, since we're getting the updates on the website, I'll totally take it. So according to the newest entry in the Shinjutsu section on the official Naruto website and its online database, we are given information regarding the Dojutsu Kawaki itself, and there's a lot of information here that puts Kawaki in a pretty broken category, and it leaves more room for its growth as well. And finally, we also have seemingly a name for the Dojutsu. So let's look at the database entries for Kawaki's Dojutsu and let's break it all down in that order. Up first, we have a detailed breakdown of the Sukuna Hikona, which says that it's an ocular Dojutsu of Kawaki's left eye, the quote black eye, end quote, which will go with the Japanese translation for that in a moment, which he can use instantaneously to shrink himself and any object that he sees. He can also instantaneously return the black rods to their original size whenever he wants to. However, the drawback is that he cannot shrink any living thing other than himself. All objects are also required to be in his direct line of vision, which is another eye razor that we'll touch on in a moment as well, because there's a big difference in terms of a way to hold up a big minute moment. Now, the next entry we have is for the Daikokuten power, which is stated to be the ability to store people or objects in a different dimension where time does not flow, and we're told the user can take objects or people out at any time that he chooses to. Originally, this technique was used by Isshiki, but Kawaki inherited it through the power of the Karma. Now, here are two things that stand out here in regards to the new information we have. And we're going to start with the biggest one, which is the name of Kawaki's Dojutsu. It getting called the quote black eye with quotation mark around it. It grabbed my attention right away because this is what we see in terms of following a pattern as we've seen in Naruto before with Masashi Kishimoto, in particular when it comes to the Dojutsu. He either uses a combination of transliteration or he uses the literal meaning of the eye in terms of its name in order to produce the powers of the eye itself. A really great example of the latter, for instance, would be the Rinnegan, which literally literally means Samsara Eye. But you've never heard anybody say Samsara Eye. However, the basic 6 Rinnegan powers that every Rinnegan user gets access to, the Deva path, the human path, the Naraka path, the Ashura path, and the Preta path, which is also most commonly known to fans as being the 6 paths of pain jutsu. All of those powers, they are rooted in the Samsaric teachings, hence the powers work the way that they do, and the Rinnegan being linked to 6 paths itself, hence a lot of the 6 paths powers, they are rooted in Samsara. Whereas when you look at the Sharingan, it is a transliteration of the Copy Wheel Eye, which also fits into one of the powers of the Sharingan via the Sharingan Eye Insight, which is the power to copy any ninjutsu or taijutsu movement that isn't a Kekkei Genkai. Keeping with this in line, the quote black eye looks to be a transliteration for the word kurome when you put the words together, which is what you would do in this instance. Because as a reminder, Japanese has 3 primary alphabets, so depending on which alphabet you use, you're either going to get black eye, you're going to get ebony eye, or you're going to get dark eye. And this would fit the trend of what we have with the eyes in the Naruto universe being referred to with at the end as Gon. So you drop the ME at the end of Kurogame. So for instance, you have Byakugan, Sharingan, Rinnegan, Tenseigan, Jogan, Senrigan, and now you have Kurogan, which I find to be interesting. Longtime viewers, you have heard me mention this before. It's one of my pet peeves with Viz Media. With Naruto, you can't really fall into the translation that the official translation has done at times, where you can't translate it literally as it's written, especially with the way that Kishimoto writes things, because Kishimoto, like Akira Toriyama, likes to use a lot of puns, which they have to be factored in. For instance, Ada in English is spelled in the official translation as EIDA because that's the literal spelling when you look at the kanji, but it is a pun like all the other car enters, which is why the Spanish translation goes ADA, which got missed by the English translators, but they caught it with code because we don't see code spelled as Kodo, C-O-D-O, and we don't see bug spelled as Bago because they went, oh wait, these are tech puns, like how Vegeta isn't called vegetable, Broly isn't called broccoli, Bulma is not called Bluma after bloomers, because they went, oh, these are puns. With this new eye for the translation, you drop the ME and you get Gon because that fits the way that Kishimoto does eyes. Now, the next thing that we have here is the hold up, wait a minute moment, which is the information that Kawaki's Kurogan eye can only shrink objects that are within his direct line of vision. And this is what I find to be very interesting because this seems to be a limitation that only applies to the vessels of Isshiki seemingly, or at least that's how it looked for a long period of time. So Jigen needed to see something in order to shrink it, and Jigen only had 2 spokes of the full Kurogan eye. Kawaki needs to see something in his direct field of vision in order to both shrink something or seal it away using his Daikokuten dimension Shinjutsu. Whereas when we see Isshiki use the Dojutsu, he is shown not having to look at anything when he shrinks it, but he just needs to be aware of its presence. As we see when he first emerges reborn using Jigen's body after Jigen got killed, and the first thing he does is instantaneously shrink all the flames that Kashin Koji had used, despite the flames literally encircling him, and that will require him to spin around to shrink all of them down. That's what really got my attention, because that implies that Kawaki does have room for growth in terms of his Dojutsu powers. It means that Kawaki might have a fully manifested the spokes of the Kurogan eye, but there's a gap between how well Isshiki uses the eye and Kawaki uses it based on the above mentioned feat. Now, to be fair, the database also has Isshiki listed for this, but I'm a little split on that for this reason. We're told in the manga Isshiki shrank the flames all at once, but there was also a giant wall of flames and smoke at that time. So we don't know if the guy was spinning around super fast and returned face forward to intimidate Kashin Koji in the process, since Isshiki does like to play around and flex on people that he's fighting. And that would be something very much in character for him. And it would honestly explain why when Sasuke was trying to impale him with his Chidori, when Naruto was holding him with his chakra arms, that Isshiki just summoned the chakra disruption cubes out of his Daikokuten dimension instead of shrinking Sasuke's Chidori, which despite not seeing it, he would have heard the jutsu coming via Sasuke's pending thrust jab. And because we had seen him shrink stuff without looking at it, or seemingly shrink stuff without looking at it, because again, there was a wall of flames and smoke that prevented us from seeing Isshiki in the flames themselves, I'm leaning more so towards it is extremely likely that he had to spun around just based off of this database translation. Now, I'm not mad at it if this ends up being a limitation placed on the eye. I think it's smart, to be honest with you, because that dojutsu itself is very broken. The biggest thing we have here is that the official information has a hard cap on the abilities for the Kurogan in terms of what the two powers are, and now we have this. We can take all the other information that we have, like the fact that Kawaki was saying in part 1 when he was running away that he was exhausted after shrinking himself down because of the chakra consumption. We can also take that and the fact that shrinking down using Sukuna Hikona and absorbing jutsu via karma comes with a major risk as well, because it drastically cuts down on the mobility of the person. Hence why Sasuke almost managed to kill Jigen when he and Naruto fought, and why Jigen promptly proceeded to say, you guys will never get that lucky ever again. These updated entries on the powers of Kawaki's Kurogan just goes to show you that what Sasuke initially said about the powers of the Kurogan, it holds true. At the end of the day, they're simple children's tricks when you figure out how they work, but that's what makes it so dangerous. Sometimes something can be so simple that it's brilliant. The same way that Naruto is so stupid that he's actually a genius, and he's not that guy who eats glue and he sniffs a red highlighter to see if it's cherry flavored and eats paint chips thinking that they're little potato chips. Something being simple doesn't make it any less dangerous. It just fits the theme of the entire Naruto franchise, especially the whole ninja must see through deception. You might think something simple isn't dangerous when it is. From ninjutsu to Kekkei Genkai to hidden jutsu to kunai to ninja tools and now shinjutsu. What might seem childish to the naked eye, in the hands of a true master, it can be something extremely powerful and deadly. If I really had to guess here, since the database is giving us more information on Kawaki's shinjutsu, my guess for the next update would be either Damon's Reflection Shinjutsu or Code's Claw Mark Shinjutsu, but whichever it is, I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. Just like I hope you're looking forward to clicking this every numbers weapon user in Kaiju number 8 explained video if you're into Kaiju number 8 and curious about it, or you're clicking here for this Naruto explained video that YouTube has personally selected from the channel to say that you should watch it. So don't be like Kiba, click on that link.